Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday's edition of Morning Brews. My name is Ryan Smeltz, and last week we left off with me getting recycled. So, if you don't know what that means or what happened that caused me to get recycled, then be sure to go back and listen to those episodes. And today we're jumping right into my new training unit. So, Foxtrot 795. Kind of transitioned down the hill on Friday, and today, jumping right into white phase. So, um, one of the advantages and disadvantages to being recycled is it's kind of like if you failed a class in high school and you had to either do summer school or take it again the next year. Um, you kind of already know just about everything. Of course, if for some reason it went over your head, you may need a little extra help. Um, but generally speaking, in this instance, if you did listen to the episodes last week, no, I was not recycled due to any type of not being able to learn the material or perform up to the standard. Being recycled for an injury means that I still had all the knowledge and experience I gained from the first go round. So obviously going all the way through graduation with my previous training unit, I as I talked about before, I only missed three major training events. So going into white phase down the hill with Foxtrot 795, I essentially started right there around the basic rifle marksmanship, coming out of red phase, so they were allowed to call cadence, and then land nav. So land nav is one of the events I distinctly remember that I because I had already done it, it was very easy for me to catch on. And then, of course, we worked in teams and squads, just like I talked about at the beginning, working with a battle buddy. So I'll never forget my new battle buddy down the hill. It was kind of funny because I feel like he introduced himself as Boxer, which is a nickname that never really stuck because we just called each other by our last names. But Metcalf was my new battle buddy, and if I had to go back and do it all again, um, I would probably choose him again as a battle buddy, because we'll get into this a little more, but he just made in the military we say embrace the suck or embrace the chaos, and he just made it really easy to do that. No matter if it was rain or shine, no matter if we were just all having to do push-ups because somebody screwed up. He always had a positive attitude and was able to kind of maintain sight on the long term goal, which obviously for all of us was just to graduate. So that's a little bit about him, but getting to go through land nav again or land navigation. Um, Obviously, when we do that, they have to start with the basics. They start with the protractor and how to use it, a compass, how the different ways you can hold it, and of course you were able to find all of this in um, the field manual, the land navigation field manual, which I'm sure has changed over time, especially considering you have things like the BFT or Blue Force Tracker. Um, I think the longer name is FBCB2. You also had the plugger, which was replaced uh, not long after I went through basic. I believe it was called the Dagger. I'm not sure what either. Everything I say there is an acronym. and I can't remember off the top of my head what they stood for, but you're talking about electronic GPS type devices that help you navigate, whereas this is straight up just compass, map, and being able to uh, find or read grid coordinates, hence the protractor. So I was taught all that the first time I went through land navigation training with my first unit. So at this point, when I went through it, it was pretty easy. I do remember I got the opportunity to help some people that maybe struggled a little bit more. I had a pretty firm understanding of it, so when we would do the practical exercises, if the instructor was and this was the case for anybody who either did this during the pre-basic task list, maybe uh, they had also been recycled, but if someone understood it better than someone who was learning it for the first time, then normally they paired them up. It was like, hey, work together. You explained it to this person. So that that was a good time for me because I didn't have to sit there with my thumb up my ass while the instructor taught something. I was actually able to help and contribute. And then, of course, we did the practical exercise, um, going out and having to find all the coordinates, and then making sure that you don't get lost. It was pretty much the same as any land nav that I would see in any training event or school after basic training. I guess you would say, uh, it was probably a little bit easier. So it wasn't necessarily as difficult as one you might see in WLC or ALC. But it was uh, definitely just as many points. Just here's your map and your protractor and your buddy teams. Make sure you find all the points and then meet back here. Um, so that was a good time. Like I said, because I had done it before. I don't distinctly remember if it was the exact same course or not. That would have been super advantageous because I could just walk over to where they were. But uh, I do remember because I believe there was some variation, but I do remember it was the same training area, and we got the points, and I was able to basically do it again. I also don't remember if I was first. I don't think there was necessarily any award for being first. I think there was an award, like if your squad or platoon finished quicker overall, then you got recognition. But outside of that, it was pretty irrelevant. So moving on to the Phase 3 FTX, I bring this up again because in case you don't remember from previously, the Phase 3 FTX is where I started to have the leg problems. And there's a Phase 3 and a Phase 5 FTX. Phase 3 FTX obviously is more focused on basic training stuff, basic skill level 1 tasks for soldiers. Phase 5 FTX is more MP focused because at that point you are in AIT since we're going through OSIT. And so the Phase 3 FTX, basically round 2 for me. I remember the first one I had talked about the drill sergeant kind of playing the joke and tying a can of CS gas to the end of a stick and then running in a circle and gassing all of us. It being a little difficult for me at that point, being on crutches. However, during this one, so there's a few things I want to touch on here. So this may turn into a multi-episode thing, but the one thing I remember is we got called up, put in formation. There were like these cement pads, which I think is where they normally set the tents up. But we didn't need that many tents, so instead we were holding platoon formations on these cement pads. And then somebody, you know, pulls a pin, throws a spoon, and tosses a can, and purple smoke comes out. And so everybody starts freaking out, gas, gas, gas. They're putting their pro mask on, and me and like two other guys in the platoon are like, "That's not gas; it's purple smoke." Like, and so we weren't putting our pro masks on or anything, and that's why I mentioned Drill Sergeant Hubbard during the last episode, because this was an instance where he came up to me, and I think he pulled me and like the one or two other guys to the side and was like, "Look, we know it's not gas. Maybe we, it's not in the budget to be able to get more of those canisters. Maybe the drill sergeants just don't want to put up with it, but it is for training. So go along with it. Pretend that it is gas. Put your pro mask on and shut your mouth." I thought that was interesting. I thought it was kind of funny that I'm sitting over there ruining their exercise, their pro mask exercise, and going, "Oh, it's just purple smoke. Like, who gives a shit?" But that was one story. I have another story that deals with the first sergeant and shaving, and then I want to talk about ruck marches as well. But we are over time today, so be sure to tune in to the next episode. Going to talk a little bit more about that Phase 3 FTX, shaving, falling asleep, staying awake, all of the fun things that you get to do during basic training. So, if you enjoyed this episode, and frankly, even if you didn't, then be sure to leave us a 5-star review. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Tell your friends to subscribe as well. My name is Ryan Smeltz, and I will see you on tomorrow's episode of Force